there's one thing you have to get through your mind and keep it. Nothing that ever came from the European mind was meant to do anything but facilitate European domination of the world. And I said there's no exception. Everything that was brought into this continent, everything, every idea, every so-called religion was meant to dominate and to control. The Arabs had no illusions about it. The Europeans had no illusions about it. You were the ones with the illusions.
From the inception, nothing comes from the European that is not deliberately and intentionally created to divide and rule. That has always been the intention. I know some folks are like, oh, it's not all the things that they did that was, bad. If you're still thinking like that, then you need to go wash yourself off and know that. So I've had someone said, even some of the it's not the white that first colonized the black, blah blah. That's. If you read books, how Europe underdeveloped Africa, that is even one of the latest story. Is when if you read great, men of colors. If you read a lot of stories that you can read, how they plunder Africa, amalgamation, 1916, and how they conquer and divide. Before they came physically to conquer Africa, they first had a meeting and they divided Africa into sections and create ethnicities, cultures they divided people that do not want to live with themselves. They forced them to live together so that they will never live together in unity because they've divided them. They're meant to be in another country. They put them together. It's called divide and rule. That has always been the agenda of the Europeans, to make black folks divided against themselves. While they're divided against themselves, they go ahead and perpetrate their propaganda while they are fighting them. And that has always been till tomorrow. Some of the African countries that are existing today, there were no language, there were no barriers. All of the African countries used to be one unified in the language, but they create languages, create barriers. Have you heard, I said this in one of my videos, have you heard that you see European, let's say in Germany, you have different cultures and they say, I'm a German North, I'm German West, I'm German, is there anything like that? Germany is German, European is European. All the European countries, they don't say I'm European different, I'm European separate. No, they're all Europeans. There's nothing like, you come to Africa and see what I'm talking about. You see Africa, this one say I'm from this ethnic, this one in the same country. Or go to Nigeria, you see diversities. And that is why Africa is fighting. Look at Congo, the same thing. They create different ethnicities. They are battling themselves. Meanwhile, we were one. That has always been the agenda, the style, the modus operandi of the Europeans to divide the black people against themselves. While they are fighting themselves, they are plundering them. That has always been their style, and it's so sad. Let's go check out a few videos I've put together for you guys so that we can watch together. And I expect a conversation to begin after you finish watching it, because a lot of things I put together in this video that I want you to watch. Credits are given to all content creators. I'll be right back. Don't go nowhere.
The answer to this question of integration is simple. Do we want to be slaves? And if the answer is no, then it means we have to separate ourselves and do for ourselves and recognize ultimately, and I'm going to end it here because I know I'm talking a long time, but the ultimate conclusion is this: we got to fight. We can play the game, we can run around, but ultimately, when it's all said and done, it's a big white elephant in the room, and ain't nowhere on this planet we can go. We got to come organize and decide to make the decision that we're going to be free, and we're going to make sure that everybody that's done wrong to us is going to remember what they did wrong. We're going to give them everything that they've asked for and a little bit of interest on top, and we're going to put this world back under the leadership of African people. The moment they walk in the door, their interests are to dismantle everything that we've built. And they will turn brother against brother, sister against brother, adult against child, child against, we know how this thing works. So what we say is, the synonym for integration, to make it simple, is like Because when we were in Africa, we were by ourselves. What was integration? The slave ships came down, we were white folks. If that was bad, and then they came back a second time to the African continent, it was called colonialism. Again, we integrated again. And every single time we end up dying, we end up getting raped, we end up getting murdered and getting destroyed. Even in America, we're talking about what we call modern day integration. After slavery, we had the skills to build our own communities. We built them up. We left the white folks alone. Down here, many people went to the swamps and built beautiful communities. We were separated from them. We didn't have our own nation, but we had our nations within the nation. It was working. When did the problem come? When some individuals were duped into coming and telling us that we should give up everything that we built and adopt the white ideas. Now our children don't respect elders. Now our men don't know if they want women or not. Now we acting more like white folk than they act like themselves. And everything that we know to be black as our culture, everything our grandparents, everything that we did before has fallen apart because we have allowed them in. I think that the answer to this question of integration is simple. Do we want to be slaves?
Who exactly is a Jew? There was no word called Jew in the ancient world. The word Jew did not come out of Africa. It did not come out of Western Asia. It is a European word. Tell me, how can 600,000 people cross the Nile? Cows, children, goats, sheep, and get on the other side. No laws. The Nile just dried up. It must have been muddy, and they didn't even get their feet muddy. Now you can do it with imagination, but in fact you can't do it. They copied, these Western Asian people copied Nile Valley folk stories, personified themselves into the story, and sold you your own story, and you bought it. Before their entry into Africa as visitors seeking food and shelter, there in Africa, they sought and found food and shelter. They entered Africa with no clear language, no clear religion, and no clear culture. When they left, they came as 70 in number. They left 600,000 in number. They had a culture, a language, and a religion when they left, all taken from Africa. They were not Hebrews when they got there, but they were Hebrews when they left. Yet you have forgotten how to claim it. Now, these visitors came into Africa in the 1700s BC, led by our patron father Abraham. 1675, Africa was invaded from Western Asia. Instead of taking the side of the Africans, they took the side of the invaders. But while under the invaders, while they served as collaborators and clerks and betrayals of their African friends, they produced the world's first wheeler-dealer politician called Joseph the Provider. The Africans came back to power and said, those who wish to now obey African rule may stay, the rest will have to go. The African king came to power, and that is the king who knew not Joseph, the king who owed the Jews no favor, and the wheeler dealer politician Joseph did not have any power around the throne, because the throne was now an African throne. In their early contact with us was as wheeler dealers, and they entered human history with their visit to Africa. They have never been our friends when we needed them. In the concept of a historical alliance between African people and people called Jews is a lie and a myth and a misconception.
If you know the creation story, how those black, guys came from, after they walked through the Nile. Some are saying this professor is saying that, think about it, 600,000 people walking through the Nile, and they walk on foot, and they think about it. We're not talking about 100. We're not talking about 5,000. We're not talking about even 100,000. Do you know what it means for 100,000 people to be walking on foot, crossing to the Nile? It's not possible. So truly, those two guys, they came in few numbers, without language, without anything, because oh my, and they became a nation, they became a people, and they became so mighty, so much. That is what happened. That's exactly what happened. But when those guys get the story, they rewrite the story, they make it look like, oh, they were pursued, then the African betrayed them, African didn't. No, look at what the man said. And this is for a lot of black people that are saying all sort of things, that do not know stories. And truly, I agree with the story, because in the scripture, it was written that when the king that knew not Joseph came into power, that guy didn't care the fact that it was said that Joseph did a lot of things for them. And that's how I believe the story, because when they came in, Joseph was the one that they came in because they were hungry. They came in. He brought all his brother to come and sojourn in that land, because he became second in command. And they were living, because you know why they didn't know Joseph? Because he was black as well. He blended with the people, with the African people. And of course, when the time came, they became so mighty. I'm talking about generations. Because the Bible said when the king that knew not Joseph, the great things that Joseph did. Because before that time, there was a connivance. Before that, it's always like, the Africans are the one that connive with outside to betray, to sell them out. But no, that they are the one in the country. They connive with the external forces, and that's how Africans were taken. That's the second transatlantic trade, slave trade. And that's how they move. And the night is that, Africans are the one that betrayed them and all that. But I'm not even here to say this is the enemy, or that is the enemy. What I'm here to say is that the real enemy are the people that came to pick the black race and sow them out. That's the real enemy. And that's the discussion you should be having. If you know histories that have been wiped out, that has been whitewashed, all we need to do is just to come back as black folks, unite together. We are African Caribbean, African American, African, wherever you are, let's unite together, because the real power, the real glory, the real grandeur, the real everything belongs to us. God has given us, as a black race, we have the wisdom, we have the knowledge, we have the understanding. That's who God has made us. Forget about the rhetoric that those guys have written. They whitewash all the stories. I guess you guys heard what the speaker said. Let's unite together and become what God has ordained us to be, the voice and the solution of the word. Thank you guys for watching. If today is the first time, please do want to subscribe to the channel. Make this video go viral. Let everybody know who we are. We are not betrayers. We are united. We are stronger together. Thank you. Stay in love, stay in peace, and avoid trouble. It's like, come here again, bye bye.